button.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Iron Panther Presents. I hit the damn button. So now we're discussing Selective Outrage, Chris Rock's new special. What does it mean to us? What does it mean to the community? I don't know. We're going to talk about the jokes that were said, apparently not said, but had to be resaid again as we saw things get edited. But a lot of things to kind of sit through. So I wrote down a few jokes that I thought hit me for a particular reason. I was like, bam! I was like, damn, Chris. We can talk about that too. Words hurt, really. And we get into all those different things. But Kim, what are your thoughts on the special?
I thought he did a pretty good job. I mean, Chris Rock can be corny, we know, and then sometimes he could be hilarious. I mean, it all depends on the day, right? But he did a pretty good job, and I think that he was right about Will Smith and Jada. They both, in my opinion, have selective outrage. They do. 1 minute, for one thing, the one thing that he was right about was the fact that why would you put this part of your life on the internet and not expect people to laugh at you or talk about you? There are certain things in a marriage that is not supposed to be out to the public. I don't care who you are. I understand that they're Hollywood and all that stuff, but they are a married couple. There are certain things that you do not let the public know is going on in your life, right? Because it's none of our business. If it has nothing to do with their acting, movies, whatever they do, stop doing it. So what she did to her husband was wrong. And what he went along with it, it was wrong too. So now this is a life lesson, because I actually watched somebody else who did a recap of this. And they showed numerous times on the internet where Will was pissed off that Jada kind of hijacked him. There was one instance where she was on her camera and she was like, "So babe, tell everybody that some woman is the one that saved our marriage." And Will was like, the internet is my bread and butter. So for you to come at me with a camera and just stick it in my face before previously talking to me about this is wrong. And he turned his back to her. And she kept going. Well, yes, that person helped to save our marriage. And Will was just like giving her the side eye, like, shut the fuck up and turn off the camera. Like, because there's certain things you do not need to do. And why would you do that to your husband? So she has done this new thing. Then they showed another video where she had done this. So she's been doing this for a while, where she fucks with this man and lets the whole world know. That is not a good wife. She's wrong. And like what Chris Rock said, he was absolutely telling the truth. And in my opinion, when Will Smith is all upset, oh, well, he just needs to let it go. Nigga, you hit him. You should have been in jail. You could have been in jail because you assaulted him on national TV where millions of people saw it. And I understand that you felt like, you were having a breakdown or whatever, but it still doesn't negate the fact that you hit this man, right? And what does your parents always tell you? Words hurt, yes, they do. But if you weren't hit first, don't hit, right? If Chris Rock would have came off the stage and slapped the shit out of Will Smith, then that's different. Will Smith had the right to slap him back, right? That didn't happen. So Will is wrong, Jada's wrong, but Chris, not to say he was all the way right, but he was right about the fact that you did this shit. And the hit wasn't about Chris. It was about their marriage, period. And how embarrassed this woman made Will about everything. It was all about that. So I enjoyed it. And I think Will Smith when he said his response was, Chris needs to let this go so we can both move on. No, fuck you. He can talk about this as long as he wants to, because he didn't lock you up. He didn't lock you up. So if he wants to talk about this until he's 99, he has every right to do that because you were wrong. So live with what you did. You don't really have any consequences because you're a millionaire, still living the same life. There's no and you still have an Oscar. How about that? The highest accolade, nobody took that from you, still and winning. You assaulted a man. Still so winning. What does that tell you right there? That Will Smith has the power. He still has the power in Hollywood. So I think if the shoe was on the other foot and this was Chris Rock, it would have been totally different. It would have been told. Not to say that that Will would have put him in jail, but oh my God, how could Chris Rock have done this? Will Smith is a gentle person. All of that would have been, like Chris Rock. Netflix would never gave him a deal again, right? So anyway, that's my rant.
Thank you. Jamani, what did you think of the special?
Oh, I got a lot. All right, so I thought that it was all over the place. Probably his worst, because he put so much pressure on himself unneedlessly. Like he was just trying to do everything. Like, I don't know, like, does he have like some sort of terminal illness or something that's gonna, like, it was like, I have to do everything for this. It was like whether it's in Baltimore because I'm trying to, get it, I'm gonna say this in her hometown, right? Like, to make a point, and I'm doing the weekend right before Oscars. Like, I can't do it probably Oscars weekend, but I'll do it the weekend before. So it's right there a year from when it happened, as well as the mic drop moment should have been when he was talking about the thing with his daughter, right? And he's like, neither of my ex-wife or my daughter knows any of this stuff until they see this live on Netflix. That should have been the mic drop into the special moment, right? But because his whole, before the slap, right, his tour was called Ego Death, and that story was an ego death story. And then the slap happens, and now the special is now titled Selective Outrage. So now that has totally encompassed what people's expectations are for the special. So he had to end off with something on that subject. And it really was sad because Marlon Wayans said everything that could be said on that subject. Like, he did a whole hour on it. I'm like, the only new thing that he was able to give to it was the emancipation part, which he fumbled up at the end. Because that was basically his new movie that he just came out with, and it kind of fell flat. I'm like, he started off with the whole Lululemon pants and all of that type of stuff. It seemed like he was playing more towards his Saturday Night Live audience, middle America to start off with, and then he kind of ramped up. He did 75 minutes, which is the longest special he's done, longer than most specials. And I think he could have been cut down and refined a lot more. He probably should have stuck with the whole ego death and stuck to that. Like, when he started talking about the whole, dating over a certain age and what women expect and stuff like that, that was good material. But like, when he started talking about, like, what if his father was trans? Like, it was like he didn't have any follow through on the joke. It was like, that's your father. And then that was the end of the joke. And I was like, you're not going to go anywhere else with that? You went through this whole long setup and then there was no real follow through. Like, I thought that he didn't take advantage of opportunities to stretch out jokes, and the beginning was very dry. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much my initial take on it. Kevin Hart should have wrote his closing. Kevin Hart can really make any situation funny. Like, and Chris Rock has said he'll buy a joke every now and then. Should have had him do it, because if Kevin Hart was to put himself in Chris Rock's POV, like, that is all he does in stand-up, is talk about funny situations and how this is what I was thinking, and this is how I thought it was going to go, and how it went left, and all of the different things like that. Like, it would have, I think yeah, it really like all of the, and people are saying that Chris Rock was calling Will Smith a bitch. I'm like, he was saying all these other people were calling them bitches, whether it was the Breakfast Club or the View,
Yeah.
and all this. And he's saying that he was calling him to check on him and he never returned his calls. And people that were actually there at the in Baltimore where he was filming the special were saying that he was getting kind of emotional at the end or whatever.
Yeah.
So it seemed like he put a lot of pressure on him to do a lot of this stuff, whether it was him doing material he didn't work out because it was going to be done live with like the thing with his daughter, or stuff that he did in concert when he was on tour, but not like in stand-up clubs, which was like the whole Will Smith stuff. And it just being so long, he couldn't remember all of it because he was stumbling a lot throughout the whole concert, because he would repeat stuff as he would try to remember it, and it's like, you're repeating it and it's not for emphasis. This is not even a funny part that you're repeating.
I see your point. And there's one was like that. I mean, it's a lot of things, and also I didn't realize it was much longer than most like stand-up specials. But like the repeating thing, seeing it again, I did see that, and sometimes he does that for transitions, like stuff for emphasis, and then sometimes he's trying to remember it. So it is a combination of those things. And I saw him one time. He had teleprompters. I remember one time when we saw him live, and I was like, because it's been a while. For that, but I mean, it's a lot of material. It's a lot of material he had to cover.
He had a teleprompter on this one too, but it was down on the ground on the floor.
Yeah.
But it wasn't jokes. It was titles of whatever the joke that was coming. Right, so he had like a list of
to keep him on track. But okay, now we're about to transition to this one. Hence, like we saw the cards on his wall.
Yeah.
So we're on the right track. Chris, what did you think?
Yeah, Chris Rock is probably one of my favorite stand-up comedians. I like growing up, like when I thought about stand-up, obviously from my generation, Chris Rock was the guy. Obviously, much later on, I got introduced to the folks like Eddie, to the Eddie Murphys and the Richard Pryors and whatnot. Obviously, but that was always my guy. However, I got to say this one, for me, for the most part, kind of missed the mark, and mostly only because of who he is. I felt like, and I don't mean this as a disrespect, but I felt like if this was a comedian, like a special for like Mike Epps, it would have been good. But this was for Chris Rock, and it didn't work. It didn't work for me as much. There were some jokes that was really funny. I thought the Capitol riots thing was hilarious. Like, I was like, yo, it's like white people. It's like, yo, these white people are literally rioting, taking over the Capitol of something that they built. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, said, we want them out. Who? Us. You know what I mean? It's like talking about some white Planet of the Apes shit. You know what I mean? That shit was hilarious. But then but then he does like these jokes that I felt like that was stale, that you would hear a lot of comedians already make jokes about, like the Kardashians things about Black people, oh, they're going to date a bunch of Black people, and Chris Kardashian. I've heard that before, you know what I mean, and not just once or twice, but it seems like the whole thing, the jokes about the Kardashians, is like kind of years late, and I get it, he's a much older man, but I guess that's part of the problem too, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just, you know what I mean, and I saw signs of this last year when I saw Dave Chappelle live. He showed his Untitled documentary, and part of the clip showed Chris Rock getting ready for his backyard comic special that Dave Chappelle was doing, and Chris Rock was doing it. And Dave Chappelle kept making fun of Chris Rock because he was taking too long to write jokes. He's like, damn, nigga, it's like, you taking so long making a joke. He's like, yeah, I'm just trying to find a joke. It's like, nope, this ain't gonna work. And he's throwing like cards around. It's like, damn. He's like, it's like, yeah, man, it's been a while. And, and it definitely shows. Chris Rock is still my dude. I feel like the people, no joke, I honestly feel like the people who really love this special, if they took the bias out of it and they were being truthful about why they love it, I think they loved it because of the Will Smith thing. But that was just the last.
That's why I love it.
Yeah, but that's the problem. There are 70 minutes of it, and that you only focus on 10. You see what I'm saying? But so I feel like those are the ones that love. You know what I mean? The majority of it, I thought most of it was kind of lacking. Like the whole thing talking about the 40-year-old, 50-year-old pussy thing. I was like, damn. I was like, I never like. I mean, I know he cusses or not, but like the whole pussy thing. I was like, damn. Am I watching Chris Rock or Cat Williams? You know what I mean? It just didn't seem like Chris Rock's style. That wasn't his style of doing the whole like, oh, pussy. I was just like, nigga, like it was just weird coming from him.
Listen to the words that just came out your mouth.
Huh?
What? Like pussy, nigga. Is that really what you just sounded hilarious?
No, it's just like,
ironic,
you know what I mean?
perhaps.
But like from him.
So
I
said,
I watched Total Blackout, and I'm like, and that was what 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That was. I'm like, he's been using the same sort of language. I'm like,
man. Never.
No, he does. He says that, but the amount of times you thought you were watching DL Hughley rather than him. You see what I'm saying?
So what I felt that way in Never Scared when the last part, and he messed that joke up too, but it was pussy versus vagina, and that was like his last like thing. And I was like, fuck, man, I can't even watch it anymore. Like that part, it just irritates me because he says pussy so much that I'm like, it's just gratuitous, if I may.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I just like, I can't. And then so when I heard like to you, when I heard him do it this time, I was like, God damn, man, like this joke is going on too long. But then I remembered that one, and I'm like, okay, so he's done it in his prime before.
Okay.
But
well,
yeah. But I hear you. Like it was a lot.
Yeah, you know, and then I don't know why it bothered me that they edited out the part where he messed up. Like I've seen specials where like folks have messed up, from like even folks like Dan Cook to everyone. Like folks messed up. I mean, hell, even over at Fox stuff. You know what I mean? And I felt with him being a veteran like he is, keep that there. You know what I mean? You keep that there. You know what I mean? But there's something about you editing it compared to like you showing like keeping it the way it is. It makes it. I don't know. It just it didn't sit right with me. And I don't know if it was his doing to edit it or if it was Netflix's or him talking to Netflix. You know what I mean? Right now, I'll give him benefit of the doubt and just say it was just Netflix that just did not want that in there. But Jamani, you're right. At times it did seem like he was a little shaky. That was one of them. I love the story about the whole thing with his daughter and the whole idea of like her get kicked out. But there was times too that Chris Rock, I mean, yes, I mean, he's a wealthy man and he should be happy about it. But it's times that rather than him doing a lot more comedic stuff, it was just more of congratulating the stuff that he has done, which is great. But he did a lot of that rather than just like kind of talking about the fun. I don't know. It was just there was elements that just did not seem like the Chris Rock that I know of. You know what I mean? And at times, you know, I mean, it was just I don't know. It was just different. But overall, I thought it was good. It was all right. I think for Chris Rock's level, it just was kind of the ending I thought was good with Jada and whatnot. I know there's a big controversy right now with the fact that he kept repeatedly calling her a bitch. He's like, man, you trying to protect your bitch and blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? And talk about, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I mean, you know, this is a comedian talk about other celebrities. That's just what happens. You know what I mean? So all things all, and you're right, Jamani. He was getting emotional. I saw his eyes actually start watering up. It wasn't until I saw the second part. And I don't know. And a part of me, I understood why he got emotional, but a part of me did not want him to be emotional about it. Because for some reason in my head, I wanted him to be like this nigga who'd be like, yo, fuck this deal. Like, I ain't bothered by this. You know what I mean? And it showed at the end, he was bothered by it.
Because
even though
human,
he's like,
right?
At times he was saying, like, there was times that I think they were saying that Dave Chappelle's whole thing. He said, man, I ain't bothered by it. Like, or something like that at the end. And then when it's just, so I don't know. I wanted to show that he wasn't as hurt. You know what I mean? And it showed that, I don't know. I mean, and I get it. Like a grown man on national TV slaps you in the face. Yeah, that is gonna F you up. for some reason I was expecting him to put up a mask or whatnot. But I get it. He's human. But overall, it was all right. Just the Kardashian thing was weak. Oh, the beginning part I thought was great too. I think that was his best thing. Talking about woke culture and the double standard, but like people talking about like he's like, it's like, yo, I'm talking about the motherfuckers who play Michael Jackson, but then be like, oh, I ain't playing no R. Kelly. You know what I mean? It's like, want to be starting something? Oh, hell yeah. But you play bump and grind, you an activist. I was like, all right, that shit was hilarious. Like, the selective outrage. You know what I mean?
I took
love that
issue
shit.
with that because I was like, one is convicted and one isn't.
Exactly.
One was found not guilty
Sure.
and one
Exactly.
was.
Like that. I was actually going to bring that up. Like, there's a difference between allegations and convictions, and like and how and I'm sure that's how my friend likes to bring up the Flash and all the bullshit like he got going on. Right. There's a difference between allegations and convictions.
Yeah.
But
the thing is, though,
but
if you ask a lot of white people, which I think Chris Rock was kind of under, like, doing the undertone of this. Chris Rock was doing the undertone. A lot of white people actually do believe that Michael Jackson did that shit that he was accused of, right?
He did.
And
do that
yes,
shit.
it wasn't like, and before the trial of R. Kelly, people were already trying to like get rid of like the songs and try to remove from Spotify. Before he was actually before all that stuff.
He was on tape.
I'm talking about white people.
Like this, there was no tape of Michael Jackson with the kid.
But to the point though, white people believed that Michael Jackson did it. Tape.
That goes to what I was saying about the beginning of this special was more dedicated to that SNL sort of white validation.
Right. So we weren't the audience for that, David. That for that first part. Because what I mean, that the audience right there was the hypocrisy with some of these white people who believe Michael Jackson did this shit, you know what I mean, and have no problem playing Michael Jackson, but then they hear some black people play like Step in the Name of Love, and then they got an issue because there ain't a black person alive like talk like at least the majority of black people I talk to are still playing R. Kelly. So he made that joke was not directed towards black people. You see what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
So,
or at least,
all right, man. All right.
Yeah, I mean, at least either that or the joke was just not that good that he wound up falling flat with that.
What I've heard about the way he works is that he goes to like the comic store. He goes to all of these nightclubs that are predominantly white and works out all of his jokes. And then when he goes on tour, he's in front of like majority black crowds. So it's like he forms his jokes based on what white crowds respond to, and then play
David
up to that.
His first words was saying that the people who are woke are white men. He tells you who he was talking about already. He literally said white men in the very beginning.
He said when they were talking,
and he follows up talking about Michael Jackson and R. Kelly. He tells you already. He gives you a preview of who he's talking about.
All right.
You don't think so?
I do not. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, again, so when the white man came, I mean, so yes, I know I disagree. So when he was talking about just in general,
but you're right. One was convicted, one was not. But same time, let me tell you, the people who I work with, majority white, all of them keep talking about Michael Jackson, non freaking stop talking about him like doing all the stuff to kid, like as if you know what I mean, like. As if he got tried just as much R. Kelly did. And I'm like, damn, like this nigga.
That's because Michael Jackson went to trial twice. So there's a little bit of a difference.
And not only that, I also look at it as like white people might be like, yo, you can bleach your skin all you want. We still gonna look at you as a nigga. Like,
okay, man. Well, see, and that goes to my other issue about his victim speech was that it's interesting how he's like everybody plays the victim. Like I loved his line of like there's a whole bunch of people in the emergency room with paper cuts. Right, like because everybody wants to be a victim, and I'm like, and his examples like Meghan Markle, he's like why you try to play the victim? Like that shit was hilarious, and then I want to
light skin lottery.
I want to connect that to South Park because that is
Did you watch the episode?
That shit was savage.
Stop looking at me.
I'm like that is her, and that is fucking her and Harry. Because I'm like, shut the fuck up.
And guess what? And they're going to try. They said they're going to try to sue South Park too. I don't know if you heard that.
Seriously.
So which proves South Park's point.
No, exactly. But I'm like, it's all, and I was like, did he watch South Park? Because remember in the same episode he talked about the brand, remember? in South Park, he was like, everybody has a brand, and at some point, victim is on that brand, like no matter what, right? And I was like, damn it. And I was like, did he watch South Park?
Oh, I see.
No, I heard I
Good
heard
question.
from people that have seen him on tour. They said that he had that over the summer, and it was a lot worse and a lot more gritty. But when the Queen died, a lot of that stuff he had about them had to be taken out.
Yeah.
So
Huh?
it's that section was a lot
He
more
shouldn't have.
in depth, because he said that he had some sort of run-ins or whatever with the monarchy or whatever and stuff, but he had to take a lot of that out once she died or whatever. So
It's common.
So I mean,
dude.
that makes
Like-
sense, because like once you start talking about the UK is like the OGs of racism and shit. Like there's only so far he probably want to go with Queen being dead. But I like his opening thing of like, people say words don't hurt has never been hit in the face. You know what I'm saying? Because he also said a similar joke before, to be like, words can't kick you down a flight of stairs, and words can't throw piss in your face. Like, you know, and like, if for people to be like they were attacked on the internet, like you can't be attacked on the internet. You can be like ridiculed on the internet. You can be made fun of on the internet. You are attacked in person. Like that's how that works. And like for somebody who just got the shit smacked out of him, he does know the difference. Like, so like I thought that was a good joke. The economic discrimination is what he's talked about in this episode, and he's done before, right? First, it was Whole Foods. Like Whole Foods doesn't say they don't want poor people here. They just raise the prices so much that you can't afford to go there. And the same thing with Lululemon.
I
right?
love Whole Foods. I shop there.
Right? I'm like, but I'm saying, but I like
those nigga products from Whole Foods. You be buying it and be like nigga.
Oh, the
That was a
pants. He's
joke,
talking about the
wasn't it?
yoga pants. He's talking about the yoga pants at that point.
The
there we go.
Lululemon. Oh yeah.
I was like, but I think a lot of it is where he's at in life, right? When he started, he was still up and coming. He was still struggling or whatever. And now he's a man with money. So like he's talking from that level. And sometimes his crowd is like, they're not at that level, you know? So some of the stuff they make, and he's like, now I see life in a different way, just like his age thing. His very first half-hour special, he said he preferred older women than younger women, because he said younger women have a list. You got to be this tall, this color, you got to drive this car, you got to have this job. And the older women get, the less they give a fuck. Like at some point, they just want a man with a dick and a job. I'm happy. And he's like, I like that. And they cook for you. And now he's like, I'd rather have a younger woman because they cost less. Because the older woman wants more stuff. And I'm like, he's seeing it differently now, and he's older. And also, he still sees women as money grubbers. Like at 50 plus, he still sees women as the only reason they get with anyone is for money. Chris Rock, Kevin Hart, same way. Chris Rock, Kevin Hart, and Dave Chappelle.
That's because all of them have been scorned by women. I don't know about not Dave Chappelle, because he's been married for like 30 years. But I'm talking, but Kevin Hart, his first wife, and then Chris Rock, his only wife. They all view, and that's been going on for years, like just like what you just said, David, that they view women, not particularly Black women, all women, as money grubbers because of their own experience, right? They still have the hurt of that, because just like Chris Rock said, he said the last time he argued with his wife about lawyers, he lost his house, right? But it's not that you lost your house, sir. Your wife was granted the house based on a court order, right? So stop saying it was
but like he said though, she's not funny though.
Okay,
understandably, she's not.
He also
funny.
said she's not funny.
Right, but that's true too.
But that's the point he was trying to make.
Just because she's not funny doesn't mean that the court is supposed to say, no, you can't have the house. It's not. You married this woman. If you didn't have a prenup, that's your fault. That is your fault. Everybody who's famous,
whether you have a prenup or not, it does not matter. It doesn't.
If
whether
a
you have a prenup or
woman
not
has been by your side the entire time coming up on the ladder of success, and then it goes bad, does that mean that she doesn't deserve anything from the marriage? Nobody.
Wait. Okay, so does he not either? What does he get?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Wait a minute.
She
so
started
Chris
building
Rock
too.
was broke after he got a divorce. Was he broke?
Come on.
Was
Like,
he
you know what I
broke?
mean? Like you didn't make me write these jokes. Like, you didn't help me write these jokes.
Oh, but
Okay,
she
wait,
didn't
do
take
all
care of
this
him.
shit. You know what I
She
mean?
didn't take care of him as
I mean,
a
like
wife.
you want to talk about if you want to talk about child support, awesome, great, whatever. But no, I got to support whatever life you're gonna live in. So then you get married with your next husband and whatnot. Nah, fuck that shit. Like, you know what I mean?
But
And that's why these comedians.
Then you don't know how alimony actually works.
Yeah.
Alimony.
No, I know exactly how it works. And that's why it's
someone
fucked up.
else,
I know
he doesn't
exactly
pay
how
that
it works.
anymore.
I know exactly how it works. And the
okay,
courts
No,
are messing up.
alimony is not paid. If the woman remarries, alimony is cut off. Okay, so that's how alimony works.
Oh, so basically that woman can just maybe not get married and still pop a lot of babies, but I won't get married, so I can keep taking this nigga's money and this man who I'm just fucking, right? Okay.
Well,
You're right.
But it goes to both ways because men also get alimony from women.
Halle Berry got stuck with that. I mean, she got stuck with
and that dude's a simp. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that dude deserves to get dogged as well.
But it still happens both ways. You're making it seem like it's only women, just like Chris Rock.
Yeah.
Chris Rock is not right
about
that.
I don't even think that's the issue. All right, so to David's point, right? I think it's to all the three people that were mentioned, right? Chris Rock, Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle, right? None of them are college educated, right? So it was when I was watching this,
That's life experience. What's that got to do with anything? That's just called life experience.
No, let him finish his point. I mean,
when I was watching, was it Total Blackout or the extended version of Tambourine, whatever you want to call it?
Yeah,
last night he said that when he was in his divorce proceedings, he showed up. He sees the bailiff and everybody, and he's like, everybody there is way smarter than I am, right? But yet we all want my money. That's what it's about, is that all these people have more education or have had more advantages than I do, but yet they want my money, and I've actually done more to earn said money.
Well, let me ask you a question. If Chris Rock knows all of this stuff, right? Why did he get married? If you know that alimony, divorce, and all these things happen, he has every right never to get married.
I'm not saying anything about him and his marriage. I'm just saying why he has so resentment about money is because he feels as though he got it, and he might not feel as deserving, because he said after that, he's like, I made it now because all these people want my money, and I didn't go to school, or I didn't, have the advantages that they had. I feel as though I made it. So he feels he has some sort of resentment, or what do you call it?
Jamani, let me explain to you my point. All right, like I see where you're going with that, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, all three of them, right? They married women. They're with women. They're not at their financial level, right? All three of them. It's not here or bad. I'm saying, but like, Dave Chappelle is a dedicated husband, right? I mean, for years, right? But his wife lives off him, and he says that many times. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Chris Rock was raised in a house where dad worked, mom didn't. That was just a house. So he was taught that a man's job is to provide. A woman's job is to take care of the children. He said that many times. So I'm saying, so my point is that he's still in that mindset where he's like, you know what? I'm single now. And you know how I know I figured that out? My bed is dirty. And I'm like, wow, my bed is dirty. Because in his mind, a woman's job is to keep the house clean. And because that, and so like, see something like that. So it's bigger than that. But I'm saying when he made the comparison to Jay-Z and Beyonce, Jay-Z got enough confidence to marry a woman at his financial level, and she's still there. You know what I'm saying? But like, as I'm saying, so it's like, it's not the same thing. Chris Rock has even the women he's dated around, he dated some actresses, but not at his level. Because remember, he came from bad teeth, high school dropout. So it's like he had to work for it. You know what I'm saying? So when Kim and I watched the interview he did with Kevin Hart, and they talked about the divorce. Mm-hmm. And he said, my friend Sharice, if she's watching this video, she thought it was really bad for Chris Rock. He was just being honest. When he looked at Kevin Hart, he was like, wow, bruh, your wife was smart because she stayed, because she knows that you're a stock. And right now your stock went down, but your stock is going to go back up. In both of their minds, they're like, women look for the provider. And that's how we got where we're at. Kevin Hart knows he wouldn't have his wife if he wasn't Kevin Hart. And in Chris Rock's mind, no matter how much he gets his teeth fixed, He's a high school dropout who happens to be a millionaire because he became a good comedian. So even he knows somewhere that's like, that's why they're with me. This 25-year-old wouldn't be fucking with me if I wasn't Chris Rock and I have all his money behind me.
Yeah, wasn't he dating a supermodel at one point, Chris Rock? I mean, until he became single again, he was dating a supermodel, and I'm thinking like, there's no way that would have happened if he was just some random like regular old dude, unless he had game worth the wise
right. And I'm
just
saying my thing that even now, and to me, like again, to his detriment, like he still sees women like that, like to be like, say like, what you can provide for it, and I just think it was kind of bad. But I did like his joke. He did tell the truth, and I agree with it. Beyonce working at Burger King can get with the Jay-Z.
Absolutely.
Jay-Z working at Burger King will not get with a Beyonce. Like that is absolute facts, and that is Chris Rock. Like that is Chris Rock right there. Like to tell you, women, if you see women outside at 12:10 in the afternoon working out and with their kids, you're probably in a good neighborhood. If you see men at 12:10 in the neighborhood, you are in a bad neighborhood. If all the men are sitting around working out, riding bicycles,
like Jerome working out
in danger. You are in danger. These.
Shit! I saw the nigga with Snowfall run.
It was like that is Chris Rock, and that's for him. When he said, "How do when I get to a location, I ask where should I not go and where can I buy Coke?" And they're usually the same neighborhood. And I was like, Chris Rock, like that, like that's him at what he does, and I was like, and I liked that, what I'm saying? I thought it made you kind of think, about stuff, and I was like, that's what he does, and he's consistent. His family story, I thought his family story was better than what you get from Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart shits on his kids, particularly his son. His son he's always been a dumb asshole since his first stand-up specials. I mean, and remember that one he did at home during COVID? I cut that shit off when he started saying
he had on pajamas.
He said his daughter was having whole life tendencies, and I was like, out.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I can't. But
I didn't even get that far.
I was like, what the fuck did he say? I was like, I can't even do this shit. But my point is, his story was about generational progression. He's like, my mom is sitting right there, and it was illegal for her to go see a white dentist, and she had to go to a fucking vet. And he's like, in my lifetime, my daughter is in Paris going to culinary school. Like, we did it. Like that's a positive. It was funny about the school thing, and I hope that is true. I hope that it's true that he fucking got.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah. I was wondering if that was true or not. I don't know. I mean, I thought that was good. However, I mean, usually when I hear jokes about a comedian talk about family stuff, I wanted to be more Bernie Mac-ish, and where like Bernie Mac like unveils a story or whatever. So I was like, man, he said, then the little one goes down, she gets some milk or whatever. Like, I like that format, and that's where you see a lot of comedians do and whatnot. And no, it was positive, but I was also saying, yeah, I'm clapping, but I'm not laughing. Like, it ain't, it's just good, but I ain't laughing. Which, I mean, sure, if he was like doing a speech or something, like an Oscar speech or whatever, I think that would have been great. I just thought for the format, I'm like, damn. I was like, nigga, you only got 20 minutes left, and
I think it is. I think that he felt a lot of pressure to do this because everybody was like, when is Chris Rock going to respond? When is Chris Rock going to say something about it, right? And I think it was overwhelming pressure, and so he did his best, and that's why I liked it, because he went out there and he was brave enough to just go out there and do it. And of course, he had like a board that had all these jokes, and he had like the funniest. But
he always does that
around, right? No, true. But he had the funniest people around him, which he feeds off the energy of his friends before every performance that he has. Right? That gets him going. He said that before, and then he gets these jokes from them, and then he writes his own jokes, and he got to pick the ones that he feels that will give him and he uses all of them in different, like what you said, Jamani, he's going to use them in all different places, like 45, all the different places he went, and see which one lands the best and then use those. But I think when you got to do something live, sometimes your nervousness and all of that goes out the window. He just kind of was nervous, and then he was emotional. And I believe the reason why he was emotional was because he was hurt by what happened, because he actually was friends with Will Smith, right? They were friends. And what happened? Yeah, they were. They've been friends for 20 years or more. And the thing is that when your friend comes up to you, and remember, he said when Will and Jada were doing this public thing, I called Will to get, to be his friend, to talk to him. Because
I
he
wonder
knew
if that was true. I wonder if
no,
that was
I
true.
believe that it
Yeah.
is true because
Yeah.
he's friends
I
with
wonder.
him.
I don't know.
They're
Okay.
not
Those are-
friends where they're not the friends where, oh my God, you see them all over the place hanging out. But they
Well,
were
no,
friends.
yeah, I didn't know if it was like because like
a
it's like
friend
when
is a
friends were
strong word, though.
No, I don't think that they
it seemed
were
like because
not
even he
friends.
was talking about 2016 and Jada, and they're saying like there was an issue with Chris back then. It didn't seem the way he set it up, even talking about going back to 2016 with concussion, didn't seem like they were that good friends, especially going back to that. Maybe pre 2016.
Well, then why did Will Smith also say they were friends?
I mean,
Because
well,
Will Smith said
of
exactly
course
the
Will
same
Smith's
thing. He
going.
said both of them were
Of
friends.
course, Will
on
Smith
that.
wants to say that. Will Smith is trying to protect his freaking image at the moment after what just
Will
happened.
Smith is
Oh,
not.
I'm not
let's
surprised he said
let's
that.
just be clear. Will Smith's image and all that stuff, he is not. He's okay. He's going to be okay. Just like
Well,
Chris
yeah,
Rock
but that
is going
did
to be
not
okay.
stop what he's been trying to do as far as trying to like help himself. You know what I mean? Which I get it. I would have done the same thing. I would have been like, yo, we're like we cool. We're friends. Hey, here's an old picture of us backstage at the Kevin Hart show or something. See, I'm not surprised, but like I have friends too. Some of them are just only Facebook friends though. Like,
okay, well, whatever you want to believe, what I'm saying is that the reason why I feel he was emotional was because the man was hurt.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing to be slapped in public like that.
Yeah.
And especially he was doing his job. He is a comedian and he made a joke. That's what he was paid to do. And that was embarrassing to him. And it's the biggest night in Hollywood and you got slapped by a dude who is huge and you did nothing about it. Like you didn't call the police. You didn't have him arrested. You didn't yell at him. You didn't slap him back. You didn't do shit. You just continued the show like a professional. You continued the show, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that Chris Rock was wrong, but I'm just saying that everybody else got their 2 cents and their 10 cents to put in to what he should be feeling, how he should be feeling, what they would have done. That's a lot of pressure on Chris Rock to now answer to what happened to him. And then for people to be like criticizing what he said. How do you criticize how someone feels? That's wrong. I think that's wrong. He felt what he felt. He did what he did, and no one has a right to take that away from him. If he's hurt, he's hurt. I mean, anybody would be hurt. So
Sure.
let this man go. Allow him to grieve the friendship that it was, and then allow him to move past it, just like Will wants to move past it. Just let it go. But people talking about, oh, I would have done this and I would have done. You don't know what the fuck you would have done unless it happened to you. So don't put Chris Rock down for how he got his feelings out. He went to his platform that he's good at and he got it out. And then now people are gonna dog him about how he got it out and the comedy wasn't good and all this other stuff. Chris Rock has done some horrible fucking movies. But guess who shows up and shows out for him? We do. We go see him every single time. I think there's maybe 2 things that we had that weren't that didn't make a lot of money as far as movies, but normally we go see Chris Rock movies. Anything Chris Rock puts out, we go ahead and get up and we go to. He's always got a packed house. He's always got a packed house
because I was not coming out for Lethal Weapon 4. I was not.
But I'm just saying we do. Well, we do it though, right? I'm just saying
that was a bad move. Well,
he's successful. He is successful because he is very successful. So we do support him, and we're going to continue to support him, just like people are going to support Will Smith. It was a mistake, and people need to move past it.
Yeah, he's like I said, Chris Rock has always been the comedian I looked up to for my generation and still do. Unfortunately, I don't know if this is a sign that, because all of our comedians that we grew up on, obviously, there's the thing they can't beat, and that's Father Time. And I'm wondering, especially watching, like I watched like a Chris Tucker special lately, and even with Eddie Murphy, like it was a small. Eddie Murphy wasn't really doing like an actual stand-up thing, but he was doing like a small. And it just one thing I realized, like, damn, these guys are getting old. Where like some of their jokes are hitting, and some of them is just more of like, okay, these guys are like, some of these guys are like parents and grandparents or whatnot, so they're their mind is not focused on the comedy as much. And it's like watching, for example, Tom Brady. Tom Brady's seen as the GOAT of NFL. He's amazing. We always knew he was amazing. But his last year, you saw his age was catching up. He's still a good NFL player, but you can see it's like, damn, he's the kind of somewhat of a shell. And I'm not saying Chris Rock is the shell of who he is. Like I still think he has still more life in him or whatnot. But literally, the only comedian I've ever seen that actually kind of gotten better once he got older, other than maybe it's Dave Chappelle, but every single one of them, even Richard Pryor. Now people argue with Richard Pryor. It was like his stint going to Africa kind of changed him a little bit. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't know if I can say this stand-up was because of pressure. Now, I think the last 10 minutes, if you want to say that, sure, but there was a lot of stuff that wasn't dealing with Will and Jada. Smith. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? And it looked like at times he just kind of stumbled, you know. And I'm thinking like, you know what I mean? He had bigger crowds than the Hippodrome. Like he had freaking Madison Square Garden. It doesn't get bigger than that. And it's been live and it's been on HBO during times when Saturday nights people are inside watching HBO, not deciding if they're going to see UFC, like myself, deciding to see UFC 285 or maybe turn on to Netflix to see a lot. It wasn't that. So if you tell, I don't buy the whole pressure thing. You know what I mean? You know, and not to mention everyone I talked to that's seen both him and Dave Chappelle going on stage together, he has talked about the Will and Jada thing. It's just the difference is like it just hasn't been streamed. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't think this was a bad stand-up by any means. As a matter of fact, and you're right. I don't think that the criticism that people have on him is unfair in the sense of like how he kind of dealt with both the situation back then as far as just standing up there. Like, and you're right, there's a whole like a what about hell, even his brothers. I don't know if you remember, his brothers even came out and said, you know what, Chris was the different brother because I know if it was me, was it Tony Rock came out and said, I wish he did that to me, like, yo, because I would have done something, you know, but you know, which is why it made the joke funny when you talking about, yo, my brothers drive trucks. My brothers drive trucks, and I know they wouldn't be fine with my father. My father could say, "Yeah, he got titties" or whatever, like all that stuff, you know. But I feel like it's just he's 58 years old. He's almost 60, and I think that's what it is. Still, I still think he's one of the GOATs, and I'll whatever next special he has, I'm going to be there watching it, and I don't know, maybe he can ascend like a phoenix. You know what I mean? Just have the greatness.
I wouldn't go so bad to be like he was in ashes. I mean, again, I think
no, I don't mean to like, oh shit. I guess yeah. I didn't think of like no. I mean, but no. But when I say phoenix, like a phoenix is like when they get old, like they get reborn. You know what I mean? And I'm like maybe the next one he's reborn and he's like back to when he did like HBO specials and stuff, like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Again, like you said, it's a different stage in life, and therefore there's certain things he's just speaking at, like he's not the same person, so his comedy's not going to be the same. You know what I'm saying?
No, I understand that.
So I did what was the joke? So the trans joke I thought did have the best ending it could have, to be like, she is your daddy. Like that's the end of the story. Like I thought that was hilarious. That was hilarious as fuck to me. I'm like, you move on. Like he built it up and he was like, that's the end, and we move on to another joke. The Elon Musk dick sucking joke went what should not have been said and went on too long. Went on. I was like, God damn it.
He said, oh, that's a lot of cum. Let me suck all that cum. That's why his face look all weird.
I was like,
cum sucked up.
I was like, this is too much, Mr. Rock. But
there is a line full of women waiting to suck out.
But Chris Rock, I mean, as a personal level, he likes to get his dick sucked. So that's a thing for him. So like he does put that in all his specials, and sometimes he just takes.
I didn't notice that. That's why I only focus on the pussy one, because the pussy one I was like, okay, this is going on a long time.
the abortion thing. So he's done abortion before, and he did it better. Like in Never Scared in DC, he did abortion. He was like, it's a woman's issue, but really, a man is only supposed to look at his woman and say, so what you gonna do? And it's like, if she said, you go with her lead, and really it's a baby tribunal, and the girlfriends get together and figure out what happens to the baby, and that he shouldn't have did that again. I mean, it's like you did the joke once, you did it better than you did it now. But this whole thing, I pay for abortions, like I'm a hitman or some shit, like was unnecessary and cringy as fuck. And I'm like, how many babies are you just making out there, Mr. Rock? Like you only been divorced for a couple of years. Like, I mean, goddamn. Like, I mean, I was like, where is this coming from? Like, what? I mean, that also, he's like, if you have to pay for your own abortion, you should get an abortion. Because goddamn, stop letting broke men nut in you. I was like, that is a public service announcement.
That
like,
was absolutely the truth.
That was public service. I was like,
yeah.
that's all right. So that was new, but it's like, but that abortion joke went on way too fucking long.
It was uncomfortable after a while.
And he had to preface it with his daughters, like
I was like,
yeah, you're taking too long to set it up for not a good it was just too much setup involved.
And like you said, don't bring your daughters into this. Like you could be like, hey, I'm dating now, and if I don't like condoms, abortions are the next option. I mean, I don't know. I mean, but like you
did you see the problem too is what there was what I noticed on when I was at work the other day. Like, you know how you go on Yahoo or whatnot, and then you look like if you're on the right and it says like the top 10 trending things or whatnot.
Yeah.
It had Chris Rock's name. But why did it have his daughter's name after that or whatever? And it was like I was like, why is she trending? And I was like, people were trying to see if it was for real, if she really got kicked out. I'm like, oh shit, this is the last thing she probably needs right now. Like, damn, now the whole world.
People. That was so cute. I mean, it's
okay, so that is the thing that was in the previous special. He mentioned the whole kids are inherently bad, and that's how you have to beat them out of that. And how is because I didn't teach my kid to bite people. That was in the previous special. He used that whole thing all over again in this special, just to set up the whole thing for the for him when she was in college. I mean, high school.
I don't remember that
for him biting people. He used that
whole thing. If you watch,
it's been a while. I gotta
the total blackout at the 20-minute mark is right in him.
I would challenge you because I think you're wrong. Because
shit. He said he just watched it last night. Didn't you
I gotta watch it. All right.
Yeah.
Word for word, you're saying he
word for word, everything from the whole racism thing to the biting, you
said blackout, right? Blackout?
Yeah, total blackout.
Total blackout. Did you say around 20 minutes? Around the
20-minute mark.
All
right. I'm gonna have to check.
We gotta check that out. I'll say no accountability. And what else?
Yeah.
So to age, right?
Sure.
I don't know Doja Cat. I don't know who the fuck that is. So and I don't think he knows either. But I think he.
Yeah, you know what? And I don't know. So Doja Cat, and he said it wrong too. He said Doja Cat, and it was Doja Cat. But I also noticed where he was showing his age a little bit when he said when we saying, hey, when you're on Instagram, just show your ass. It's like Black China. I'm like, Black China hasn't been a thing for years. And I realized, okay, yeah, but.
Well, Black China, I think
I guess
talking about OnlyFans. She has an OnlyFans. Black China does.
Yeah, but when you think of asses, like years ago, if you thought of Black China, you would think that. Now, ain't no one thinking about her. Like, and that's what when he said, like, damn, he's dating himself. Like, is this an old?
That's what I'm saying. So,
but even the Shark's Tale thing when he was talking about Will Smith, I was like, he's like, man, he's like, I voiced a zebra and he voiced a shark. I'm like, no, he didn't. Will Smith was not a shark. He was a fish being chased by. He was a fish, and he friended a shark. Yeah. And I was like, "Damn, this dude!" I was like, "Oh, Chris,
do your research, Mr. Rock, Mr. Research."
Like, God damn it, Chris. Very small but I think Chris was pissed. I think Chris was just going. He was on a roll. Chris was like, "Oh, I'm gonna fuck this misses out."
I mean, he did right. Chris looks very broken. With age comes maturity. I think that Chris was so anxious about the Will Smith material that he bit off. More he could deliver.
I blame the media for this, man, because no joke, I personally was not watching this for a Will Smith joke. Like, I mean, I expected maybe he was going to talk about it, but I was looking at it as a Chris Rock special, like he has done countless times before. And the problem I think we have today, which is so much different from back in the day, is that you're dealing with media scrutiny, and everybody politicized everything. It breaks down everything. And now, especially with comedy specials, to the point where even was it Fox News did this whole thing about Chris Rock and talk about like Chris Rock was on it when it came to Meghan Markle jokes. Man, he basically put those liberals in their place about that. And and everything else. And I'm like,
That's
oh,
because
so
everybody hates those two.
but then
right
I
now.
noticed though, but then I noticed that Fox News also did not want to talk about the riot part that he talked about either. So I'm like, so it's like, so it was just weird. I'm like, how y'all taking a comedy
Is it
special?
selective outrage? Is that what you're trying to say, Chris? Is it selective
No, not even
outrage?
outrage. No, they enjoyed it. They enjoyed the
But
making.
it's
That's
like,
what
why
I'm-
you pick certain parts and certain parts.
That's what I'm
It was just
saying.
weird. No, I guess my point is like the pressure though, the pressure that we're trying to talk about as far as like him dealing with this is that we've never had this before where like Chris Rock, like the one in 2021 or Tambourine, when he did Tambourine, the media wasn't like covering it like at this, and he said some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But now, we're in this age where there was social media back then, but this age where stuff can get reclipped and all this other shit. People are so sensitive and that it's like they're going to use this. It's just
but it's because of the Will Smith thing. As much as he's like, people get attention.
But this happened before even Will Smith. This happened with Dave Chappelle's last two stuff. It's not even just him. It is not him. It's happening with every comedian.
Because he was talking about trans people.
Wait, but this particular special, it wasn't the media, it was him. He was actually baiting the final, I guess you'd say, part of the joke, or the end of the set with Will Smith, because he was saying, I don't want any problems with rappers. I'm like, he told that corny ass beginning Snoop Dogg joke that like he's selling everything, and he just made up stuff. It wasn't even like real stuff
that commercial thing was kind of
selling.
That commercial thing. He said, it said every commercial got to have a mixed couple. I saw a commercial with a Japanese woman married to a caterpillar.
I was like, what?
And they had squirrels as kids. I was like, Chris, did you? No.
Yeah, that was unnecessary.
That was weak.
Can we just say that maybe he didn't have the best night?
Well, again,
that was his
not
jokes.
every single stand-up is going to be spectacular, okay?
No, but his jokes on
Kevin Hart has had some fucked up stand-up.
I can't stand Kevin Hart, so you're preaching the crowd.
But I'm just saying, he has had some bad stand. Now, it's Dave Chappelle. As much as Dave Chappelle is a funny dude, Dave Chappelle has had some cringy shit that he said out his mouth, and he wasn't. And sometimes some of his shit has landed flat. Okay.
Yeah. But I guess for Chris Rock, this seems like 60-40 right here. This is a 60-40 situation we're dealing with, where it's like a lot of it, at least for me personally, a lot of it seems more of stumbling and more of like, let me repeat over and over again because I'm trying to reach for this.
I feel like it was, but he was also nervous, and you don't want to accept the pressure part of it. But I feel like he felt like he had pressure on him.
I don't, he's done with bigger pressure than this with HBO. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not buying this all of a sudden because of a nigga slapping him. Like this is a bigger pressure than he had 10 years ago when he
I'm not saying that's because the pressure part of it is that people have been asking him this question for an entire year.
Yeah. But the first hour was not even that.
What?
Well, no,
the first hour wasn't even about Will Smith. Is my point.
Because he can't make it all about this.
Yeah, he can't. I mean,
so you're saying so he was nervous. So even with his jokes about the caterpillar or whatnot, was nervousness because he knew the Will Smith.
No, that was bad. That was just a bad joke.
That was just a bad writer.
I'm saying, but also this is Netflix's first ever live like stream special, like they're and like y'all said, like they put it right next to the Oscars. Like this was a message, right? And even every news article I saw, especially, it was all just we spent the first half of this thing only talking about the Will Smith thing. So as much as he had other jokes that I wanted to kind of explore, really only people wanted to care about was how he was going to deal with the Will thing. And I'm like, and
I didn't care. Yeah, that's the thing though. You know, when I started talking about Chris Rock, I didn't even talk about Will Smith. You know what I mean? It's just crazy that people just want to only focus on that.
But that's what I'm saying, and he knew that. And he know that that's what people were going to listen for. Was that. That's what, and that's where the pressure comes in.
And that's
why it's a 60-40.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing a lot of people say, is that he should have did what Dave Chappelle did with like the George Floyd thing. Just do a little thing and then just get it out of the way, and then do your actual special and let that be what it was. Because he was on tour. The Oscars was something he did in the middle of the tour. He was already on Ego Death.
I did not know that.
Kevin Hart.
I did not know that. Because that does change his perspective. If he already had a set material, and then he had to add on.
His tour was called Ego Death. He was already on tour, right? And then after that happened, I remember they said like his end of March or beginning of April date, like the ticket prices went up because people was buying out every available.
But remember, and too, that was the
already scheduled
beginning.
and already on tour.
That was the pre-show, right? Like we saw the comedians, but remember, after we saw the pre-show of the comedians, when they were introducing Chris Rock, you were seeing all the other arenas he's done this in. This was his tour, and then the end of the tour was the Netflix live special. So he's been throwing around these jokes other places, but I wouldn't say all the jokes that he did for Netflix was the ones that he used. I'm sure they were different because he had a whole board full of jokes, right?
Yeah.
So
that just makes it even more
he's going to
weird
use the ones that he felt landed, right? And I think, unfortunately,
some of them were not.
Some of them were not.
But I guess my point is,
Pick the
but then
wrong
again, if you're telling me this is the last leg of his tour, right? Okay, so when I did theater, usually the most loosest that we ever were was the end of our tour, right? The bugs came in the very beginning, right? Because we were like, oh shit, I hope we don't mess up the words or whatever at the beginning. But then by the end, it was like, well, whatever. You know what I mean? It just, I don't know. Unless you're just going to say, oh, because now they're streaming it. You know, it's just, I don't know.
I think he had so much material that he didn't know what he had. He had like 3 hours of material because he's been
but like the Kardashian thing.
So he's cherry picking stuff to put into an hour, and it was like he chose the wrong material.
Like the Kardashian thing lasted for like 15 minutes, and it was just like no. No.
Chris also said he refused to be a victim, which is a lot of people who are traumatized would also say. So like also again, I would say. So my only thing I would say about the Will Smith thing was that I don't want to be a victim. You don't want to see him as a victim, and that's the problem. Like that's the problem. Like he was victimized, and he don't want to acknowledge it. And then, but he got emotional because he was that. And I'm saying it didn't make any sense. Like I took that hit like Pacquiao. That's
the problem I had. That's the problem I had was that he got emotional, which is fine for a man to be emotional about it, but then he sounds like he is contradicting
himself. He is contradicting himself because you clearly were a victim, because then he immediately explains how he was overpowered, oversized, and like he had no choice but just to take it. But he sounds like a lot of abused people who don't want to acknowledge that they were victims. And I'm like that's and I felt sorry, like that was to me, I felt sorry for him at that point. Like it wasn't funny.
What I'm hearing a lot of people take issue with is the fact that the mic drop moment is that we don't fight in front of white people. So I'm hearing white people say that I don't understand how that's a big deal. And then half of black people are split down the middle. Why that's an issue. And then it goes back to white people finding his most funniest joke being, what's the difference between black people and niggers? It's like white. It seems like it plays to the white validation of it all. Like I would have done something, but not.
That's not what he was saying. No, he's basically saying, like, for example, like think of like white people in as far as the stereotypes of black people. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine Chris getting into a fight like Will Smith slaps him? And Chris was like, what? And then all of a sudden, literally, these white people were watching two grown black rich men acting like animals, hitting each other.
That's it, Chris.
Black men, two black. That's what he's talking about. He's like going.
I understand that. I'm just saying
that's what he's talking about.
I'm saying that.
That's it.
And there's a certain way, and it's funny because my grandmother told me this, said the same thing. His parents said. My grandparents said, "Yo, like literally, like she was like, when it comes to white people, like look, like it's one thing you're with us, but these white people got an idea about you. Yep. Prove them wrong." And that's basically what he meant. That's what his parents meant.
I understand the concept. It's just more or less like the same thing that you said about the story about his daughters. It's a nice story, but it's not funny. It's not a mic drop end of a whole entire 75-minute special thing to say, I had good parents and I don't fight in front of white people.
Right. I was okay with that mic drop though. I was all right with that mic drop because of literally like that was like when you put it like a bow on the, like bow on the actual president and the icing on the cake, that was that was like more of like, this is why I feel like it is. You know what I mean? When you end it at a comedy stand-up or whatnot, that part could just be more like, yo, moral of the story is this. Fuck all of y'all or whatever. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it'll be something like that. You know what I mean? Dave Chappelle's, I think, last one wasn't necessarily funny with his mic drop, but it was just more of like, oh, hell yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? I'm okay with that. The whole thing about the daughter thing for me that was kind of bothersome was, well, not really bothersome, was just the build up to just that. You know what I mean? It's just that's, and I don't even know if I necessarily had a problem with it. It was just more of like, I was expecting something really funny, and it was just more of like, damn, first you biting people and now you're doing this. And I was like, okay, that part was funny. And it was just, you know, that's all I was talking about in mind. But no, the whole don't fight in front of white people or whatnot, that was a big deal.
That's a
you know
big
what
deal.
I
I
mean?
understand that it's a
And
big
no
deal,
joke,
but I'm
Chris
saying,
Rock.
like, what was the big funny part about the whole him for the reason for him bringing it up at the end, right? I didn't feel as
It
though
was to tell
there
people
was
to
Because
shut
enough
what
up
he
as
was
far as-
saying was when him and Will Smith were on that stage, Will Smith catered to the fact that they look at us a certain way. They look at it no matter how much money we have, no matter how much we own stock, no matter what.
I get
They
the
look at
concept.
us as animals. And when Will Smith walked up there and slapped another black person in the face over a joke, it made them say, you know what? That's what they do. That's
I
what they
understand the
do.
concept. It's not lost on me. I'm just
And
saying
that's why it was a mic drop, because it was a lesson learned.
Yeah,
It was a lesson to everyone who decides, I'm gonna go up there and slap someone in the face and see if I get away with it. No, dumbass. Don't show don't air our dirty laundry.
Because Jamani, you notice?
Right. Don't air our dirty laundry in front of these people. We could have handled that in private. Will Smith, honestly, could have went behind the scenes and said, you know what? I don't like that joke that you said about my wife. Please don't talk about Jada in your stand-up, like a man. But he chose to do this embarrassing shit and slap someone of the same color in front of the world. And that's what the mic drop was necessary to say, don't fight in front of white people. Period.
I thought that was hilarious that this is the first Oscars that black people hosted. Like, we ran the whole thing and we got black on black violence. I was like,
I know, right?
But that's another embarrassing thing, though, right?
Like, damn
embarrassing.
And he still got the Oscar. Like, after he committed assault, he still sat his ass down.
And he was able to do a speech.
And who clapped?
I'm like, damn it.
The entire room was clapping. The entire room.
Dude, I'm just like,
except for one, Jim Carrey wasn't. Jim Carrey, that dude was pissed. Jim Carrey was like, this motherfuckers assaulted my friend.
Like, I'm just saying, you talk about all this privilege. I'm like, this black man in America just committed assault and was like, here's your award, sir, presented by the black people who manage this thing, and he is living his best life. He's in a new movie, and no one gives no kinds of fucks. If he was white, that would have been a whole different situation. Whoever that fucker was would have been canceled. Fuck arrest. He would not have a career. He'd be out there with Mel Gibson still trying to find a job. Like, I mean, he would have been done. And he would have been called racist and a KKK and all that shit. Will Smith does that shit, and they're like, well, you know, he's upset about his wife or some other shit. And like, and we're still talking about, but Will Smith is fine. I mean, he is fine. And Chris Rock,
and he'll be fine.
And he will be fine.
Yeah.
Bad Boys 4 is still coming. You know why? Because people forgot.
And other movies are coming, and other opportunities.
Yeah,
and he's back
I Am
on
Legend
the internet.
2. I Am Legend 2. Yeah.
Yes, all of that. He's nothing. He has not missed a freaking beat.
Winning.
Still winning. And guess what? So is Jada.
Yeah,
so is Jada.
She
still
got
Red Table Talk.
Right, still Real Table Talk, still making money. And Chris is the one stuck as the victim. Chris is the one who still has to deal with it. Still got to talk about it. And and that's all people want to hear from him. Like, if he didn't address it, they would have said this series was shit. This is why Netflix paid him the money. This is why Netflix said you can have your first live special ever. Not Dave Chappelle, who's been doing this for them for a while. They said, Chris, you got your ass whooped. You got attention. Let's see what this does. And I was like, damn.
Armando Gomez has a really funny thing in the comments. He said Will Smith hasn't had an album in decades, but one slap and he went from Academy Award, went into a rapper again. I caught that too.
Yeah,
I caught that too when Chris Rock was like, last thing I need is another rapper. getting upset with me, and I was like, I know what Chris was doing. I was like, that was some clever shit. He was kind of like throwing a little subliminal jab, like Will Smith, like you a rapper, like it's just I don't know.
He
I
called him
felt that.
Suge
I'm just
Smith.
glad I
He
saw that
called him
comment
Suge
over
Smith.
Gomez. I was like, okay. I was like, that was good. That was good.
That shit was my
Yeah, that's that 50 Cent stuff because 50 Cent says, I can say whatever I want because I can always just say I'm a rapper. I can fall back on I'm a rapper whenever he is in these television world or whatever.
Yeah, that's like saying that about Mark Wahlberg. Can you imagine like Mark Wahlberg be like, "Yo, man, I don't need another rapper." You know what I'm saying? It was like, yeah, like you know what I mean? That's it's like because everyone forget about
he was
Mark.
a rapper, so
he was in his draws.
In his draws.
Okay, Calvin Klein in the middle of a gym.
Yes.
I was like, damn it, why are we doing this? Like this is
because people like me wanted it. Thank you.
Chris Rock
and he was Dirk Diggler. He was like, let me show you what I got.
Yes.
It's plastic.
That would be one apology for Chris Rock. If Chris Rock, Gomez also said Chris Rock should be the new captain in the new Bad Boys movie.
Hilarious.
That's how you make sure you squash the beef.
I don't. It's too soon. It's too soon.
It's too soon. I actually
no. But his other captain's dead. Didn't he die in the last movie?
Oh yeah.
Ralphie died.
No, but I'm saying it's too soon for Chris Rock and Will to get back to do that. We got to give it at least 10, maybe 20 years.
Damn.
I love Lethal Weapon 4. I have to disagree. It should have stopped at 3. Lethal Weapon 4.
Oh, Lethal was terrible.
Yeah, that was not the one. I mean, Chris Rock was funny, but that's not the movie. That was not the movie. It was like Bad Boys 4.
That movie that he did, that Scream kind of movie, not Scream.
Spiral.
Oh my God, that was horrible.
Damn.
I couldn't even get through it.
Him and Sam Jackson
was that bad.
Again,
he wrote it.
That first heist movie thing he did, like his undercover cop operation, that would have been a good movie. Like whatever he was doing with those heist guys, but that horror movie bullshit,
horrible.
I was like, stop that, like stop all that. But he's always been my stand-up comedian. I mean, I still think he has jokes that usually over time you can still say and they're still relevant.
Yes.
Like you can still watch and like his stuff on gun control was still relevant and still hilarious. School shootings still going, still irrelevant.
But you know what I'm waiting to see, David, all you guys. I want to see when Eddie Murphy, who is going to do this soon, he does his stand-up. I want to see. Man. No. The reason why is because you guys are like, it's age. Yeah. Well, his is going to be age for real. Because this man has been married twice.
Yes.
He's got 1 million children.
Yes.
You talking about the whole tranny?
He's got a lot. He's not the tranny stuff, but he made jokes about that before. But I'm saying, remember, this man's in his 60s. So if you feel like Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock and Adam, all of these guys are now doing comedy about age, let's hear Eddie.
Yeah.
Let's hear
Eddie.
I
saw you.
I'm so worried. Part of me don't even want to watch Eddie.
Yeah.
And not for because the part of me don't want to watch Eddie because I love him so much that it's like seeing a sequel to a movie that is beloved that you're like, I don't want it to mess up my perception of this.
Like Spiral?
When Jordan played for the Wizards, you were like, nah, bro, you should have stopped at the Bulls.
No, exactly. And I'm like, no, Jordan, you ruined it.
Like,
I know you got all those rings, but you ruined it by going to the Wizards.
Damn it.
I want to see if Eddie Murphy does a special, he can't just do a special. He has to ramp up to it. I need him to have Eddie Murphy Presents, where he's just hosting and then gets.
Well, Eddie Murphy has been going. No, he's been doing into it. He's already been doing stand up all over the place. So Eddie Murphy will go to like the Comedy Store or to anywhere close to where he lives. He will go in there and do a set. So he's already been doing this for years. Remember, Eddie Murphy is a comedian. So even though he's not doing movies all the time and you don't see a stand-up special, he's always honing his craft. He's not going to stop because he's an entertainer at heart.
I think he needs to start running it towards his young comedian friends. Like I think he needs, as far as
but that's not fair, Chris. That's not fair. He's going to be who he is. He's not young anymore.
I understand. No, I mean, but don't understand him. Like if he has like someone like Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, all three of them, like maybe they warm him up before all three of them because they all looked up to him. Like maybe they could be like, oh yeah,
that's what they did for Chris Rock. They warmed up the audience for him.
You know, I mean, but then maybe it'll be like, oh, Eddie, Madonna ain't on Instagram showing her butt like that. I don't know if that joke is kind of old.
That's
or
what I'm
like,
saying. That's what I'm
or
saying.
you're
Like,
still
that's what
doing
I'm saying.
jokes
Like,
about
Chris-
Nick Nolte. Like people don't know who the hell Nick Nolte is for 48 hours. Like
Chris
that's
Rock,
that's my worry.
Chris
That's
Rock's
my
age
worry.
showed, and Eddie Murphy will
It
show
did.
even more.
Even more.
Eddie
Yeah,
Murphy
it's gonna
doesn't
be-
leave the house.
And
Yeah,
Eddie
it's-
Murphy is the GOAT. Eddie Murphy is the GOAT, and I'm afraid.
It is. It's
I don't
hurt.
know.
His best
It's
role was
coming. It's coming.
Head of-
Damn,
Head
I
of
don't
State-
know. I
Head of
don't
State
know
was
if I
pretty
can
good.
watch. I don't know.
I thought top five. I thought top five was the best Chris Rock movie. Like he's done.
That was a good movie.
Yeah.
That was
I
a good
really-
movie.
He tried, like he really put effort to it. He was relatively playing himself, but it still seemed genuine. Like
Yeah.
and I was like, and I already like. Also, I was surprised to hear Tiffany Haddish turn down the prostitute role or the stripper role in it. I thought that was hilarious.
And which one? Oh, in top five.
Top five.
Yeah, I think that
You
one
know
went
which
to
one my
Carly
kids
Red or
like?
whatever.
My kids like the one. What's the one where Bernie Mac kept slapping people?
Oh, Head of State.
Oh, Head of State.
Oh my
that
God,
was
my
good.
kids
That shit-
watched that joint
Yeah.
like on rotation.
That
They were
was
like,
amazing.
"We gotta watch it again. We
Hey,
gotta watch it again."
Chris,
I was
Chris
like,
said that's on the list. That's on the list. We got to do
That
Head
is
of State.
definitely on the list.
We got to do
I
Head of State and Harlem
hated
Nights.
that movie.
There's no way that movie could have not been made after Obama. That's why it was perfect for when it came out. It was perfect when it came out. And having Nate Dogg just over there, just like narrate everything through
And,
songs.
and he was singing it. I was
Yeah.
like, wait, what?
Like, amazing.
Beyonce and Jay-Z were playing at every possible moment in every possible scene. And Chris and I were like, this is prophetic, as Chris Rock is, because she sang at the inauguration dance, inauguration ball. I was like, damn it. Obama watched that movie and said, you know, if I become president.
Obama, yeah. And who did Obama, just like Chris Rock did, Obama invited like the Janelle Monáes and invited like all these, John Legend. He had John Legend playing the piano in the White House. I'm like, okay, this is Chris Rock over again. This is like,
No, Barack Obama leading up to him being in the White House was using nothing but Jay-Z stuff. He would do the whole dirt off your shoulder thing.
Yeah, he did.
He did. In response to Hillary Clinton, he said,
and then he's saying
"Not
Al
a
Green.
problem."
He's saying some Al Green.
He did.
Yeah,
He did.
tried.
Al Green.
He
did.
tried.
Or he tried. There you go. He tried.
Look,
not
don't
do that.
say nothing bad about my president. He did.
Sure.
He did a phenomenal job. Thank you.
Let's not do that. But Head of State is a class. All right, guys. That is the video. Thank you guys very much for watching. Kim and I will be meeting up with Stacy. Hope she got done eating. And we shall be discussing Double Cross. And hopefully Lauren will be around. Tomorrow, we got Godfather of Harlem, The Last of Us. What else?
Your Honor.
Huh?
Your Honor.
Your Honor. And maybe
The reading.
I mean, the reading.
Oh, yeah.
That silly shit.
Well, let me know because I gotta rewatch it. So if I don't have to rewatch it, I will not.
Oh, well,
Yeah. Let me know too. If you're doing reading, if you are doing reading, let me know so I can watch it. Because I ain't gonna just watch it just because.
All right. We'll do the reading.
Exactly. I'm not gonna
You'll see. You be like, damn it, David. Look, I told you. Lower expectations and then watch it. Like, we'll do the reading. We'll do the reading tomorrow because that.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, she's gonna just be prepared for the stand up in the middle of a killing scene. Okay,
hilarious.
She does a whole stand up set.
She got stand up. She got Freddy Cougar and shit. It's like
Yes.
it's like wild things happening. It's wild things happening. You
A
gonna
lot
be
of
like,
stuff
what?
happening.
It's a
Freddy
lot.
Krueger.
Anyway, can't forget Mark Lawrence, who's being turned into actor. Also true. And
his jokes. Oh my God, his jokes are. Imagine Martin doing jokes right now.
Absolutely
Woo!
not. Absolutely not. That's a train wreck. That's
Yes.
a train wreck right there.
Yes.
Wait, guys.
But that's the other problem too, is that you see Eddie Murphy in movies now, and he's really like subtle compared to like him doing movies back in the day, and that's why that's another reason why
Because
I'm
they're
afraid.
old, and that's how Martin
it's like-
is. Martin is very stiff.
You know who's old and still kind of like still Riley? Eric Mays. You don't know who he is? Look him up. That dude's in his like 60s. Over there in Flint, still cutting a fool. Eric Mays, look him up. Samuel Jackson is in his 70s. He's still cutting a fool. He older than all of them. You know what I mean?
All right,
Yeah, but
but-
Samuel Jackson is not a stand-up
Morgan Freeman
comedian.
had more
week.
energy than Eddie Murphy did in this weird movie that he was in with Jonah Hill.
You People?
You People.
Oh, you
that,
people.
that was just. I don't know why you're
That was
here,
horrible.
but
with that
anyway,
CGI kiss, which I didn't realize that was CGI. Was that
Wow.
CGI
You
kiss?
know what? As horrible as that sounds, I get it. I'm not kissing Jonah Hill if I look
Damn.
like Lauren.
damn.
What?
Lauren-
You are an actress.
She
What are you
is
talking
beautiful.
about?
No.
Is
no.
that what-
And she's
Damn, are you
mourning-
kidding me?
She's
You are a
still
freaking actress.
mourning her fiance. So she can.
Why would you take the role? Why would you take a romantic role then?
Well, she needs money. I mean,
I'm going to hang up on y'all.